Imagine discovering an entire civilization that was more advanced than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, with perfectly planned cities, sophisticated drainage systems, and standardized weights and measures. Yet we cannot read a single word they wrote. This isn't science fiction. This is the Indus Valley Civilization, and their script remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries, taunting scholars for nearly a century. Around 4,500 years ago, while the pharaohs were building pyramids and Mesopotamian kings were carving their conquests into stone, another civilization was flourishing across what is now Pakistan and northwestern India. The Indus Valley Civilization, also called the Harappan Civilization after one of its major cities, covered an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. At its peak, it was home to an estimated 5 million people, making it the most populous civilization of its time. But here's what makes it extraordinary. When archaeologists first uncovered the great cities of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa in the 1920s, they found something unprecedented. These weren't the chaotic, organically grown settlements typical of ancient cities. These were masterpieces of urban planning that wouldn't look out of place on a modern architect's drawing board. Streets laid out in perfect grid patterns. Standardized brick sizes used throughout the entire civilization. Multi-story buildings with private wells and bathrooms. And perhaps most impressively, a sophisticated sewage system with covered drains running along every major street. Something that European cities wouldn't achieve until thousands of years later. The Indus people were clearly master craftsmen and traders. They produced beautiful pottery, intricate jewelry, and figurines that show remarkable artistic skill. Their seals, carved from steatite stone, depict animals with stunning realism, from humped bulls to elephants, rhinoceroses to what might be unicorns. These weren't just decorative objects. They were practical tools used in trade and administration, possibly pressed into clay to mark ownership or seal transactions. And on these seals, along the top or sometimes around the edges, we find short sequences of mysterious symbols. This is the Indus script, and it's utterly baffling. We have over 4,000 inscribed objects, including seals, pottery, tools, and even a wooden sign that somehow survived the millennia. Altogether, scholars have cataloged these inscriptions and identified between 400 and 700 distinct signs, depending on how you count variations. But here's the problem. Most inscriptions are incredibly short, averaging just 5 symbols. The longest known inscription contains only 26 symbols. Imagine trying to learn English if every text you found was only 5 letters long. That's the challenge facing researchers. So why can't we crack it? With Egyptian hieroglyphs, scholars had the Rosetta Stone, a single artifact with the same text written in 3 different scripts, including Greek, which they'd already read. That was the key that unlocked an entire writing system. With the Indus script, we have no such luxury. There's no bilingual text, no helpful translation. We don't even know what language these symbols represent. Some scholars think it might be an early form of Dravidian, a language family still spoken in southern India today. Others argue for a lost language that has no living descendants. A few controversial researchers have even suggested it might not be a true writing system at all, but rather a collection of symbolic or ritual markers. This debate gets heated because it touches on fundamental questions. What defines writing? Most linguists say true, writing must be able to encode the full range of human speech and thought. It needs to be flexible enough to express complex ideas, tell stories, record history. The short, repetitive nature of Indus inscriptions makes some scholars wonder if they ever served that function, or if they were more like modern brand logos, identifying the origin or owner of goods but not representing spoken language in a complete way. Let's look at what we do know about these enigmatic symbols. Many signs appear to be pictographic, meaning they look like the things they represent. There are signs that clearly depict fish, jars, trees, and various animals. Others are more abstract, combinations of lines, circles, and curves that don't obviously picture anything. Some symbols appear frequently, suggesting they might be common words or concepts. Others are rare, appearing only once or twice in the entire corpus. Researchers have identified what seem to be patterns. Certain symbols almost always appear at the beginning of inscriptions. Others cluster together in what might be phrases or compound words. Computer analysis has revealed that the script has a structure consistent with linguistic writing. The symbols don't appear in random order. There are rules governing which symbols can follow which others, similar to how grammar rules govern word order in spoken languages. The statistical properties of the Indus script fall somewhere between completely random sequences and known writing systems. This suggests it probably does encode some kind of information, but whether that information represents a full language remains hotly contested. One of the most intriguing aspects of these inscriptions is where they appear and what that might tell us about Indus society. The seals are found not just in the great cities, but across the entire civilization, and even beyond, in Mesopotamian cities thousands of miles away. This suggests a vast trading network with standardized symbols that merchants across this enormous region could recognize. Was the script primarily for economic purposes, marking goods and recording transactions? Or did the Indus people also write longer texts on materials that simply haven't survived, like palm leaves or bark, the way many later Indian texts were written? The seals themselves offer tantalizing clues about Indus religion and culture. One famous seal shows a figure seated in what looks like a yoga position, surrounded by animals. Scholars have debated whether this might be an early representation of the Hindu god Shiva, suggesting religious continuity spanning thousands of years. Other seals show ritual scenes, processions, and mysterious symbols that might be religious in nature. But without being able to read the accompanying text, we're left guessing at their true meaning. What makes the Indus mystery even more profound is that this civilization seems to have been remarkably peaceful. Unlike Egypt with its martial pharaohs or Mesopotamia with its conquering kings, we find virtually no evidence of warfare in the Indus Valley. No great palaces celebrating military victories. No weapons of war in abundance. No signs of a powerful ruling class dominating others through force. The cities lack fortifications and defensive walls. This suggests a society that was either incredibly egalitarian or one that maintained order through means we don't yet understand. Did their script play a role in the social organization? We simply don't know. Around 1900 BCE, this magnificent civilization began to decline. The great cities were gradually abandoned. The script disappeared. The sophisticated urban culture gave way to rural settlements. Why this happened is another mystery. Climate change and the drying up of rivers probably played a role. Perhaps shifts in trade routes or some kind of social upheaval contributed. But unlike many civilizations that fell to invasion, there's no clear evidence of conquest. The Indus people seem to have simply dispersed. Their knowledge and their writing lost time. Today, dedicated researchers continue trying to crack the code. They use artificial intelligence and machine learning to search for patterns invisible to the human eye. They compare the script to every known ancient writing system, looking for similarities that might provide a breakthrough. They study the archaeological context of each inscription, hoping that understanding where and how the symbols were used might reveal their meaning. Some scholars are even examining the DNA of ancient Indus skeletons and the genetics of modern populations, trying to trace linguistic and cultural connections across the millennia. But perhaps the Indus script is teaching us something important about the limits of our knowledge. In our modern world, we're used to having answers at our fingertips. We Google, we research, we solve problems. The Indus script reminds us that some mysteries might remain unsolved, at least for now. It humbles us with the realization that an entire sophisticated civilization can rise, flourish, and vanish, leaving behind beautiful cities and intricate artifacts, yet keeping its deepest secrets hidden from us. The Indus Valley Civilization achieved remarkable things. They built cities that functioned better than most medieval European towns. They created art that still moves us today. They established trade networks spanning thousands of miles. They lived in what appears to have been a remarkably organized and possibly egalitarian society. And they did all this while we remain unable to read their words. Maybe one day, a new discovery will unlock the mystery. Perhaps someone will find a longer text or a bilingual inscription that provides the key scholars have been seeking for a century. Maybe advances in artificial intelligence will spot a pattern that finally makes sense of these ancient symbols. Or possibly, we'll need to accept that some voices from the past will remain silent, their stories told only through the physical remains they left behind. What we can say with certainty is this: The Indus Valley Civilization deserves its place among the great early civilizations of humanity. Their achievements in urban planning, craftsmanship, and social organization were extraordinary, and their script, whether we ever decipher it or not, stands as a testament to human ingenuity and the eternal drive to record, to communicate, to leave a mark that says we were here, we mattered, we had something to say. The mystery isn't a failure of the Indus people. It's simply a challenge to us, inviting each new generation to try once more to hear the voices of our ancient ancestors, speaking to us across 45 centuries of silence.